Goldylocks Productions broadcasts universal cosmic frequencies that unlock, awaken, and expand the consciousness of our worldwide viewers and listeners.
Goldylocks Productions presents the Live from Little Bear Sanctuary show with Christopher Vane. Enjoy topics such as the vegan lifestyle, sanctuary media highlights, and spotlighting new rescues.
Good evening, friends. Welcome to Live from Little Bear Sanctuary. I'm your host, Chris Vane. And if you're watching live today, it is Monday, December 13th, 2021. So don't forget to subscribe to the Goldylocks YouTube channel and the Little Bear Sanctuary Facebook. It's a great way to support all the shows on the Goldylocks Productions YouTube and, of course, Little Bear Sanctuary. And if you missed any of our shows, we're on demand on all of those venues: the Little Bear Sanctuary YouTube, Goldylocks Productions YouTube, Facebook. We're everywhere, and we're a voice to every major podcast site. All right, guys, couple announcements. The 4 California piggies made it. Yay. They arrived on Saturday. They're doing really, really well. I want to thank everybody who helped make this happen. You guys, everybody was just so generous. Tomorrow, we're going to be spaying and neutering Groot and Mamas. They had a bit of a love affair on the trip, so they really bonded. It was actually it's quite touching, actually. So they're going first tomorrow, and Mr. Runner is going on Thursday. He's the I just lost my pen. He's the piggy that was running away from the police in Riverside, California, and he finally made it. I'm so excited to have him here. And of course, Dory she's a big girl, 200 pounds. She is so sweet. I've got her with Rosie and Casper, our big piggies, and she's doing great. She's playing with the piglets. It's as if she's always been here, and it's she's going to be spayed next week. So lots of exciting stuff happening. So guys, this is our last show of the year. It's been a great year. I've got to meet so many amazing people, and yeah, I'm looking forward to 2020. A couple more announcements later. So I'm going to bring on my guest tonight. She is the co-founder and editor of Ashland Creek Press. It's a vegan-owned boutique publisher. Welcome to the studio, Midge Raymond.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to meet you and to be here. And I'm so delighted for your new residence at the sanctuary. That is such happy.
Thanks. It's great to have you here. So I of course, I was doing my research, and I didn't even know you guys existed. You do a lot of stuff with animals, vegans, all that good stuff. Tell everybody a little bit about the company.
Okay, well, we're 10 years old this year. We opened up in 2011. And so this is a big milestone year for us. Wow. We began as an environmental press, kind of a longish story, but the short of it was that we did not see a lot of environmental books on bookshelves. There was no eco-fiction category. Cli-fi, which is now kind of a big category, didn't really exist back then. And we just felt that there was a need out there. My partner, John, and I both have backgrounds in publishing. So we put out a call for submissions, published his novel, The Tourist Trail. That was our first publication. And we're just amazed at the number of books that were coming in, wonderful manuscripts by really terrific authors. And they all involved environmental themes, involved animal protection. So it was wonderful. We have published 30 books now. Wow. And it'll be a couple more, early in 2022. So we're really amazed to still be going. And it's really kind of exciting because mainstream publishing, the big five, so-called big five publishers are now starting to get more interested in environmental fiction. And it works really well for us because the more environmental fiction out there, the better. We need to be hearing these stories, and not just in nonfiction, because that can be really difficult and kind of depressing at times, but we need to hear stories that grab our hearts, that really get to us and make us think about the planet and how we can do better. So anyway, we're publishing around the time that, the mainstream publishers started getting more into environmental fiction. We turned a little bit more toward animal fiction and animal protection, conservation, those sorts of stories. So we're kind of, moving more in that direction. We've also, it's kind of like our 10-year vegan anniversary as well. We've been vegetarian before that,
10 years.
but around the time Ashland Creek Press came into being, we both became vegan as well. So It's been quite a journey.
Wow. Tell me a little bit about your journey to veganism.
Well, we turned vegan around the same time, and we had different journeys to vegetarianism. I sort of took the plunge first, simply because I had never eaten a lot of meat in my life, never really liked it, but didn't really sort of consider being a vegetarian. I didn't really know enough about it. So finally, I just decided I was done, no more. And then I started actually looking into things, as you do when you become vegetarian, recipes, animal protection, all these animal issues, why I couldn't wear leather anymore, all this stuff. So the more I get into that, the more I realized, wow, eggs are actually even worse, in many ways than poultry, and dairy as well. And it just made no sense to be vegetarian and not be vegan. And John had kind of quit overnight. He went to an animal rights conference to research his novel. And he called me after the first day and said, okay, that's it.
Wow.
I'm done. And then, we kind of had that journey that a lot of vegans have, where it's hard to give up certain little things, cheese.
Always the cheese, right?
Exactly. So that was our struggle for a couple of years until we finally just realized that's it. It's it.
Yeah.
We don't need that anymore.
Right.
And of course, now we have the best cheeses,
I know. Yeah, we talk about that all the time. The cheeses now are just so different than they were 10 years ago, right?
Yeah. How long have you been vegan, Chris?
Going on 12 years in January.
Oh, okay. Well,
same time as you, basically.
Yeah, we're so lucky right now to have all the options we do. It's really
isn't it amazing? Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Miyoko's cheese. I mean, she's totally changed the industry, I think.
She is a game changer for sure. And everything she does is magnificent. Butter, cheese. The mozzarella. Oh my gosh.
The mozzarella. Oh my gosh. The butter is absolutely amazing. Yeah, for sure. You're in Oregon?
Southern Oregon. Yeah, just north of the California border.
Okay, very nice. And are you and John a couple?
We are. We're partners in Ashland Creek Press and partners in life also.
Awesome. Fantastic. How long have you guys been together?
We've been together, I think 27 years.
Wow.
Ish. Yeah. 25 years married, and
wow, awesome. Congrats.
A couple years before that. So yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So why vegan publishing? Why publishing? I know you've been in the industry for quite some time.
Yes, and John has as well. We both lived in New York in the 90s. We both worked in publishing then. I was working for one of the major publishers. It's changed so much over the last few decades. But the company I worked for is now part of Penguin Random House. And so, we both have, his background is more marketing, and he's also technical. And my background is in editorial and a little bit of marketing, copywriting, and that sort of thing. So it came naturally to do this together. We both have everything we need to make it work. He designs the books and handles freelance designers. And then I can, edit the books and handle the freelance editors and proofreaders that we need. We both have the experience we need to make it all happen, which is great and fortunate. And vegan publishing, because the world needs these kinds of books. So vegans need these kinds of books because I think it's really nice for vegans to read about vegan characters that aren't like these crazy activists,
Yeah, I love
we
that.
We are activists, right? But we're just regular people, most people. So it's kind of,
I totally agree.
Yeah. I feel like every time I come across a mainstream novel with a vegan character, there's some kind of crazy person. And I was just reading a novel where they made some disparaging remark about veganism. And I thought, why did they have to do this?
I think vegans unfortunately become a bad word sort of at this point. And
Yeah, and I'd like to sort of see that change. So it's partly,
yeah, me too.
Mostly for vegans. It's also, our goal is to publish amazing books for all readers that happen to be about animal protection or conservation, or just, not eating animals or using animals, and what that life looks like, because it's a beautiful life. It's a quite normal life, but we don't see that a lot in mainstream fiction. So to put that out there, I think is one of our goals. And you can do that through a really good story. If you read an amazing book, you learn something that you don't even kind of realize it consciously. You're just going along for the ride. Right. And there's so much that the world doesn't know about what it means to be vegan and how animals are used, and how much we need to do, how much work we have to do to save them.
A lot of work.
Yes.
Yeah. The environment right now is definitely in trouble. It's funny, I was reading statistics, and you always think, when you're involved in veganism and you're involved in rescue like I am, and, you're doing your books, you forget that like 90% of the US is not vegan. And I sometimes forget. So we've always approached it, from a positive aspect. We don't show the horrors. We just like to, look at the animals we're rescuing. Look at this fabulous dish that I, ate for dinner last night. And I think that's, it's been very, it's more successful, it doesn't, it's more inclusive.
I agree. It's true that it's so easy to look away from the horrors. And I think that has a place, that sort of activism.
It has a place. Absolutely.
It really does make the difference for some people.
Sure.
But I think
it did for me.
Yeah. It's, a lot of people ask me, have you seen Earthlings, the film? And I said, I saw the trailer and could barely even get up the next morning. So no, I don't need to see it. But some people need that to sort of.
Some people need that for sure.
Change. Yeah. So, but I think the positive stuff goes a long way. And I think especially when it comes to animals, I think one major way, and that's why I'm so happy that you're there and you're doing what you're doing, is because one major way to get people to stop eating animals is to meet them.
Yep.
If you meet a pig up close and you spend time with chickens and you pet a cow, I mean, how can you even think about eating them? You realize they are no different from your pets, and there's no going back.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's funny. I've met a lot of vegans who, come here and they're meeting a pig for the first time, and even that's it's changing. It really changes you. They have such human eyes. Their personalities are very prominent. They plot, they scheme, it's amazing. Yeah, we love our piggies here.
They are amazing. They're amazing. I wish I knew more pigs very well. We have a local sanctuary here in Southern Oregon called Tikkun Olam Farm Sanctuary. And I haven't gotten to know the pigs yet, but I've gotten to know several of their goats, a couple of sheep, many chickens, and the most vociferous and big personality turkey I've ever met, named Celine, named Clydeen. Sorry. Oh, she's wonderful. And so that's just when you meet. Thanksgiving was really hard for me this year because I'd sort of gotten close to Clydeen, and I think about her a lot, and especially around that time. And I wish more people could get to know them the way that we know them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's I'm not going to go into details. I think Thanksgiving is always hard.
It is.
Yeah. So I personally love to read an actual book, like pick it out and have it in my hand, hold it. I know you guys are very much a part of that experience and keeping that alive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We do print books. So the way we work is print on demand. One of the things about publishing that can be so frustrating from an environmental perspective is all the waste. Most books are printed in China, right? Because it's affordable. It's the most cost-effective way to do it. But you've got the shipping costs, and the carbon footprint of that is amazing. Yeah. They also there's also a lot of waste. Books get pulped. The way they do it, this is kind of probably too much information, but the way it works in traditional publishing is that books are sold to bookstores, and if they don't sell off the shelves, they can be returned. But by the time they're returned, they're often in unsaleable condition, so they simply get pulped, which is just kind of a horrible thing for everyone, especially the authors. But it's also horrible for the trees that have, been used to make these books. So one thing that we are glad that we've been doing is print on demand, which means that no books are printed unless someone buys it. So if you were to order a book from a retailer or from our website, it would be printed and sent. And we do have a tiny amount of inventory, and we do review copies for new books. But in general, we don't print like thousands of copies and have them sitting around in a warehouse somewhere. We print as needed. And the costs are higher, the unit costs are higher, but we feel that it's worth it environmentally. We also do ebooks because a lot of people read the way they want to read. Right. You mentioned having a book. I'm a print book person. Yeah. I love my books. I just love the yeah.
I imagine your house is.
Oh, it is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We're overcome with books and typewriters. John collects vintage typewriters.
Oh wow, how cool! Very cool.
Yeah. We're a little bit outnumbered to say the least. So we have to meet readers where they are and how they want to read. So we do ebooks for every book as well. And we have a couple of audiobooks because audiobooks are pretty popular, but those are hard to produce and expensive to produce. So we only have a couple of those.
I imagine. Yeah. I've never sat through an audiobook yet.
I haven't either. I'm partly because I'm not a good multitasker, but also I just love to read. I love to really get into a book. Yeah.
What are you reading right now?
Oh my gosh. Well, I just got a couple of books from the library, and I've got a small stack of books and one ebook because the library does ebooks, but I'm finishing up a book called Trans Love, which a friend had a couple of poems published in it, and I wanted to read them. So I ordered the book. And so I'm reading that. It's beautiful. It's just an anthology of essays and poetry from the trans and non-binary community. So that's been wonderful. I just finished an incredible environmental book. So another thing that we do is Ecolit Books, which is a website that just celebrates all things eco, fiction, eco literature. So there are resources for writers who, might want to submit to a magazine. And so we have these eco magazine, big listing of eco magazines and journals. And we also have book reviews, and we have several contributors who do book reviews for not necessarily anything published by us, because we don't review our own books, but all the eco fiction that's out there. And so I just read a really good book that I did a review on called Damnation Spring by Ash Davidson, and it's about logging in the Northwest. So it's kind of set in our neck of the woods. It's further south, Humboldt County, but it's incredible. It was an incredible book, and I was a little wary about it because I love the redwoods, and I wasn't sure how much I'd love a book about logging, but what I loved about it was that it really gives you the perspective. I think all environmentalists should have this perspective of this is what, when you protest a certain, certain thing, whether it's logging or whatever it might be, you are affecting the way of life for people. And it's just something that we don't always think about as environmentalists. We want to save the birds, we want to save the trees, but we have to figure out a way to make sure people can make a living. So that it was very complicated and very interesting.
Wow. What's the name of it again?
It's called Damnation Spring.
Damnation Spring?
Yep.
You gotta check it out. Cool.
Yeah, it was brand new this year, so I think it still might be in hardcover.
Okay, very cool. Of course, I've got to ask you your top 3 books ever.
Well, I can give you my top 3 books, and then can I have 2 bonus books?
Sure, absolutely. Of course.
Because I've got so my top 3 books for animals and environment are, one, I love Karen Joy Fowler's novel, We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves, which is very much an animal rights novel. I can't say too much about it if you haven't read it, because I think it's kind of best to go into it not knowing. There's a bit of a spoiler alert that I'm going to try to avoid. Okay. And then I also loved Barbara Kingsolver's Flight Behavior, which is similar to the book I just mentioned. It has a lot to do with the clashing of cultures, activists versus locals, and environmental changes, and all that goes into that. And I also love Anne Pancake's novel, Strange as This Weather Has Been, which is about mountaintop removal mining in West Virginia. And the author, Anne Pancake, is from West Virginia, and she does the most incredible job of, portraying this world. And again, that sort of conflicts, the love of the land that people have versus the need for the jobs that they, so
totally get it. Sure.
It's wonderful. But I read 2 books this year by the same author that are very animal related. And it's an Australian author. Her name is Charlotte McConaughey. And she wrote a book called Migrations. And she wrote another book called Once There Were Wolves. And they're both really beautiful, beautiful books. The newer one is Once There Were Wolves. And I reviewed them both on Ecolit Books. So you can go there to find more about them. But they're also best-selling novels. They're amazing. Once There Were Wolves is about a biologist who's reintroducing wolves to the Scottish Highlands. So if you like wolves, it's like a gorgeous book about that and about so much else. This author packs in so much into a book. And the Migrations was interesting to me. It's about a journey from the Arctic to the Antarctic, in which a woman is following the migration of terns down to from the north to the south. But again, it's about so much human drama as well. So
are these fiction, nonfiction?
Those are both novels. Actually, all 5 of those are novels.
Novels.
Okay. Yeah, I have a fondness for fiction.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, very cool. I know you guys have a foundation. You help a lot of animals, and tell everybody a little bit about that.
We do. Well, we're not a nonprofit, and we find ourselves getting asked that a lot. Are you a nonprofit? Because of the the themes of our work, and we're not. And the only reason is because it's very complicated, as I'm sure you know. Setting up a nonprofit and all that. So we just like to keep things simple and do our thing. But we also really wanted to give back, especially to environmental and animal causes. So we founded the Ashland Creek Press Foundation. It's actually a fund that's run by the San Diego Foundation, and that makes it easy as well because we can just make grants from that fund.
Yeah.
So so we support as many places as we can with that. Yeah.
Cool. Very nice. Very nice. I gotta hear about your general manager, Harland, and on the office managers.
Yes. So we've had 2 I
forgot to include them on my post, and I forgot
no, that's fine.
The general manager.
We've had 2 general managers, Theo and Harlan, and they're both no longer with us.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. They were just 2 of the world's great cats. We miss them so much, and but we have our new office managers are really filling the void.
Yeah.
I mean, not that those paws can ever be filled, but they're keeping us entertained and doing a great job, keeping us in the chair a lot. You sit with you, that's what you do. You're stuck working.
Yeah. So. Yeah. That's so funny. Do you guys have a storefront?
We don't. We actually don't.
Okay. So
we've thought about it a lot, but I think part of the reason we're still here after 10 years is because we have such a low overhead. We just keep everything really lean. And John was reminding me the other day of the joke about publishing, which is, how do you make a small fortune in publishing? And you start with a large fortune. So publishing is more a labor of love than anything else. So we do.
Sounds that way.
Yeah, by keeping things simple and lean, we've been able to keep going strong. So far, we're going to stick with that for a bit.
That's awesome. So you mentioned Ecolit. Is that, are they like, you can buy the books through them, or you can buy directly through you, or? You
actually can. So if you go to ecolitbooks.com, you'll find all the Ashland Creek Press books.
Okay.
But if you look at a review of any of the books, which go far beyond Ashland Creek Press, you can click on a link and buy, and we link to bookshop.org. So you can link to bookshop.org, which is an organization that helps support indie booksellers.
Oh, cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. So if you buy a book that we've reviewed through Ecolit Books, it'll just take you to that online retail site, and it helps support there's a little affiliate thing. So Ecolit Books might get a few cents, but it also bookshop.org does exist to help indie booksellers. So
yeah.
So that's a good
cool.
thing.
Yeah, I think it's really needed. I mean, between Amazon and does anybody go to bookstores anymore?
Well, with the pandemic, it's been really, really hard.
Yeah.
But I also have to say that the one thing that has, is people are reading more.
Yeah.
Book sales have been doing okay. They really, took a dip early on, but then people kind of embraced, reading but booksellers have had to work very hard. So it has been tough.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I can imagine. I love a good bookstore. There's nothing like it.
I know.
You can walk around for hours.
Especially if you love, like, I can just go around touching all the books. It's terrible. Not now with a pandemic or anything.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But books are just wonderful.
Yeah, I'm from New York City, so I miss those smaller bookstores that we just don't have in Florida, other than, the Books A Million and the occasional Barnes and Noble that are still around.
Yeah, New York is great for bookstores. I mean, yeah.
Classes, events. I know you guys do some classes. You do some events.
We do. That was another thing that came out of the pandemic. Several years ago, we published a book called Writing for Animals, which is an anthology of essays and articles by writers about how to write for animals, and not like how to write a book for your cat, but more how to write in a way that is like promotes animal welfare, promotes, conservation. A lot of books are written about animals that are, that either perpetuate misperceptions about animals or in some way maybe inadvertently even harm animals or perpetuate myths. So this was about how, just how to write about animals in a compassionate way, how to work in certain themes in your fiction, how to, portray animals in fiction. And it became really popular actually with university programs, animal studies programs, as well as writing programs. And then when we kind of got stuck at home during the pandemic, we thought, was John's idea really, let's do a class based around the book. So we did. We tried it and it was really popular. So we did another class. And then we, this was John's idea too, decided to put it on to do a self-paced version. So people who couldn't join us live could just, download all the classes and kind of, So that makes it easy. Yeah. And we had people all over the world joining us. We had people, in London and India and Australia. So this is for people, and that was hard on people in those different time zones. They were kind of just waking up, or it was late at night. So we have a self-paced version now where you can, have the same program any time of day or day of the week. And
that's available now. People can.
That's available now. Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Very nice. You have two books. You've written a couple books, actually, more than two. You wrote some books on how to write.
I did. Yes, I wrote a book called Everyday Writing, which came to me years ago when I was living in Seattle, and I just published my first book. And I think I'd also just gotten my first smartphone because I noticed a lot that I was out in public places. And Seattle's a beautiful city, so much going on, so much drama, like there is anywhere in any given moment. And I was just like always on my phone. And I realized that I had to be a writer and I had to look up and see what was going around. I just realized I was missing out on a lot of stories. It kind of hit me one moment. I was waiting for a friend to show up. We were going to have drinks, and I just suddenly noticed there was all this drama. Like there was a couple having a fight, like in this other area of the restaurant. And then a family had just reunited for some, event. And I was like, what am I doing on my phone? So I started thinking about the notion of being an everyday writer and how you can, be a writer without showing up on the page. Whether you're busy or have jobs or childcare, writers usually do a lot of other things. And so, so it was really fun I did it sort of because I had needed to do it, and then put the book together and realized I had so many other things, to share, and other people connected with that. Sort of the idea of like, well, I don't have time to write today, but I can write in my notebook. I can observe things. I can be more aware of the world around me. So that was fun. And then everyday book marketing came out of that. The same idea, which is that we could spend our whole lives promoting our books, but we don't have that kind of time. So how to do that in a manageable way, especially if you're published with a small press, like I was with my first book.
Yeah. So I wrote a book. What do I do? How do I get it to you? What do I, what's the process,
For Ashland Creek Press specifically, we're super small. So we have submission periods that are open at certain times of the year. Yeah. So you would join our mailing list and keep an eye. And whenever we open up, you would send us whatever we're asking for. Sometimes we publish anthologies. So we might be looking for a short story, or we might be looking for a contrast entry. Right now, we're open to submissions till December 31st for the Siskiyou Prize in New Environmental Literature. So that's a contest. We'll have one winner, but several finalists, and there's a cash award and a writing residency. So that's kind of fun for people who have a completed manuscript ready to go. Wow. And one of my office managers just joined me. I don't know if he's going to.
Oh, are you?
William is here.
I can't see him, but
I know he blends in with everything.
He blends in.
Yeah.
Very cute. Very cute. Give some advice for somebody who I know self-publishing is huge right now. It's fairly easy to do, right?
It's very easy to do. Yeah. Especially if you use a platform, Amazon makes it very, very easy. So that's one of the easiest ways. Yeah. A more difficult way is to do it yourself and actually print copies of books. So self-publishing is great for the entrepreneurial writer, someone who has a lot of skills or has a lot of money to pay people for their skills, or has a lot of friends with skills, because
that's a good editor.
Yeah, exactly. If you know a good editor, proofreader, book designer, copywriter, it's a lot that goes into it. So, but the nice thing about that is you get to keep every cent that you make, and you get to be in charge the whole way. Yeah, so with a traditional publisher, and we're small, but we're traditional. So what that means is, we take on a book, we acquire a book, and we put everything in it. We do everything for it, and then get it out into the world and publish it. And marketing is the big thing. So that's hard for every writer, but especially a self-published writer, because you don't really have, the publisher to back you on that. And you don't have a publicity department or anything.
So unless you have 1 million followers on Facebook or something,
there was an interesting article.
Easier, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. It really does. Social media has a role to play. But there was an interesting article in the New York Times recently about how a lot of writers who have huge followings, like millions and millions of followers on social media, their books don't sell that many copies, like not even close. And so it was just a little article about how, having a lot of followers doesn't necessarily lead to book sales. So the marketing is definitely, it helps though, it really helps. But there's so much that goes into marketing. And the other thing about it is, what's the news on any given day? What's the news in every given year? My novel was published a few months before the 2016 election, which really was a hard year to publish a book, and actually a hard year for a lot of things. But so timing has a lot to do with how a book.
I never thought about that. That's interesting.
It really does.
Yeah, we it's funny because you bring up the when I work with GoFundMe. We use a lot of GoFundMe stuff. I was very lucky to be GoFundMe Hero of the Month last year, and it was originally going to be launched in March, and then the pandemic hit, so it got put off. And then Black Lives Matters hit, and it ended up coming way later, and it was a very different. It was perceived very different than most of the monthly stuff, because there was so much going on. So I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, it happens. It's something that I think artists and people like you who are running nonprofits, it's noticeable in a weird way. One colleague of mine had, she had produced a documentary that was getting a ton of buzz, like right when it first came out. And then 9/11 happened. This was obviously years ago. Yeah. But, something like that can really derail a lot. And, as it should, as it happens. But it's hard for artists and, and nonprofits, when these things happen, because we still have to do what we do. And,
ain't that the truth? Yeah, very true. Anything I should have asked you? Did I miss anything?
I don't know. Do you have any favorite? Well, can I ask you something? I'm curious about what
Sure.
books you read. Being an animal lover, have you read any books that I haven't heard of
Oh
that
gosh. I have no life right now, and haven't in a long time. I haven't read anything that I could. I knew you were going to ask that question, and gosh, I know the founder of Farm Sanctuary wrote a book recently that got really great. And there's another. There's a vegan weightlifter guy, and I forget his name too. And I'm friends with him on Instagram, and he just wrote it. It happened to go on the New York Times bestseller list, and just, like diet, how you can be a weightlifter on a vegan diet. That's really popular now. And, I'm dying to read his book, but I haven't read it yet.
It was an unfair question given all the
no, not at all, not at all. I'm actually reading Stephen King right now, so because I'm a big Stephen King fan, so it's not like I'm not reading, but I tend to not read the animal stuff because of it's sometimes really hard to read some of the sadness.
I agree. Yeah. It's really hard.
But for me, it's kind of like, it's got to be the right book.
Yeah.
That's why I'm fascinated in The Dragon's Keeper.
The Dragon Keeper is an amazing novel. It was really one of our first books that we published at Ashland Creek Press. I think it came out in 2012. Yeah. And Mindy Mejia, the author, she's gone on to have this wonderful career writing thrillers. So that falls outside of what we do, but she found a big 5 publisher, and she's published internationally and to huge acclaim. She's amazing. And she's a lovely human, but her book is so powerful. I remember reading it on a plane, and and crying on the plane. It was just it had that. But I have to say, because I know what you mean about animal books, it had that moment, that scene that made me cry. It made our proofreader cry, and she was pretty stoic. So I was like, okay, this book's going to be big. It's going to be great. And but it ends on a really hopeful, beautiful note. And I think that's something that we look for in what we publish, because ultimately that's what we're about. I think to change the world, you have to have that hope and put that forth, because otherwise it can seem to be too much.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. That's all I got.
Well, thank you so much. I really, look forward to traveling again and would love to come visit you.
Yeah, come visit. We love visitors. We have a really fun Airbnb. You can stay with us if you want, hug a cow, and, rub some pig bellies.
Oh.
People, you have your web, Tiffany just put up your website. It's ashlandcreekpress.com. If people want to read more about you. You guys are on Instagram. You guys are on Facebook. Did I see you were on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter. Yeah, Ashland Creek Press is on Twitter. Absolutely. Okay. We're everywhere.
Great. Final thoughts?
Well, just keep in mind that art can change the world. I think we all have our own sort of versions of activism, and some people, another book we published is called Saving Animals, and it's like a future activist guide is the subtitle. And what I love about that book is sort of just the way the author, Catherine Kelleher, kind of teaches you how to find your activist style, because, and I particularly feel that as an introverted writer, I don't like doing the marches and the protests and all that stuff, but I can write about animals, and I can publish wonderful books about animals, and, promote books about animals. So I would just say to the activists out there, read as much as you can and write, and, every little bit helps.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think a different approach too, like we talked about, think about all the lives you're trying to change and the people that are in the industry, and there's really so much more to the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
Midge, it was great to meet you.
It was great
to meet you for what you do. I'm so glad I found you guys, and I'm so happy to have you here today.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And give your new pigs, we'll give all of them a belly scratch for me.
I will. I'll definitely do that. And I'll see you on social media.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Enjoy the holidays. Have a happy new year.
Thank you. You too.
Bye, Midge.
Bye.
All right. How's everybody doing tonight? Who's here? I didn't even look to see who's here tonight. Richard. Hey, Richard. How are you? Ruth. What's up, Ruth? I know, Ruth, you've published some stuff. You've got some books. You're a great artist. You're selling your art stuff now. How do we find you, Ruth? I'm sure Tiffany's got some link somewhere to put your stuff up. Robert Cheek, he's the vegan athlete. I'm reading all this now. Yes, Robert Cheek, he's a vegan athlete. He just wrote a book on the best New York Times bestseller list, and I do want to read that. I want to have him on the show too. So Robert, come on my show, please. What else can I tell everybody tonight? So the piggies made it here. They are the cutest piggies. It's just, I can't tell you guys how good it feels to have them here and for them to be safe. And I want to thank everybody who helped these piggies get here. There were so many people involved in this. It really took a village, from the people who donated, from the transporter, who they were so amazing, a husband and wife with their kid. They took such good care of these piggies on this trip. I can't even begin to tell you guys. It was like first class for these piggies, and they're a joy to have here. They're all really sweet. Mama's is a little shy, but so far everybody's gotten a belly rub. Runner he's such a joy to be around. I can tell by the look in his eye, he's really smart. We've had conversations already together. He knows what I'm talking about for sure. And I know he wants to run around. We have him in a small area right now. And he's got the word runner for a reason. So we got a big day tomorrow. It's spay and neuter for the two that fell in love. Mama's and Groot fell in love on the trip. Mama's found a way to break through her little divider, and they couldn't be separated after that. True love. That was just, it's funny because they were both completely from separate locations. They weren't even together at Saving Animals, Healing Hearts in San Diego. And by the way, they were instrumental in making this happen. Terry was able to pull these piggies to safety. She had 2 at Foster's and 2 with her. So it all turned out great. So happy to have them here. Piglets. So guys, 9 of the 10 piglets have sponsors. Woo! We got 1 piglet left who needs a sponsor. It's a little boy. He's reddish with black spots, and he's the only piggy who doesn't have a sponsor, and he doesn't have a name. So if you want to sponsor a piggy or any of our animals, you can go to our website at littlebearsanctuary.org, and it's $25 a month. And you'll get to name this little piglet. And of course, the four new arrivals, they all need sponsors. We're excited to see who sponsors them. It's the end of the year, guys. I can't believe it's December 13th. This is my last show of the year, and it's been a great year. I met so many amazing people. I got to interview so many amazing people. I got to meet so many amazing people socially, online. I guess it's sort of the new way to meet people now, right? I had so much fun doing this podcast this year. Tiffany, I love you. You make me want to do this every week. And it's been a great year, everybody. We've got amazing things happening in 2022. 2022. I can't believe it. We got some amazing new board members coming on board. We'll talk about that in January. You guys are going to be amazed at some of the people joining us. I'm really excited. We've got some really exciting new stuff happening. And I got to leave it at that. I can't do any spoilers. 2022 is going to be an amazing year, and I'm really looking forward to what is going to happen. Wonder what it could be. Hi, Jennifer. How are you, sweetie? What else can I tell you guys? That's probably it for me. It's been such a crazy week. It's Monday. Gosh, I always think it's Friday when I do this, but we're Monday. I'm looking at my list as always. Yeah, I just want to thank everybody who's been so supportive this year, from the people who donated, to the people who share our posts, to the people who follow us, to you guys who are always here with me every week, to my live viewers, you guys, I love you guys. You're always here with me. It's I'm so grateful for just everyone who's been a part of the sanctuary this year. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys so much, and it's why I continue to do this. I can't imagine, ever doing anything else. And you guys know this is my passion, and yeah, this final rescue of the year was really, really rewarding. And I'll be posting videos this week. We get to meet the piggies up close. And yeah, that's all I got. Unless anybody's got any questions, this is going to be the end of the show for this year. I hope everybody has an amazing holiday. I hope everybody has a safe, healthy, happy New Year. And we're going to be back on Monday, January 3rd. I think I'm the first show back on Goldylocks Productions. Yay. So yeah, I'm sure I'll have something amazing prepared for January 3rd. Thank you again, everybody. This is Chris Vane signing out. Remember, peace begins on your plate. I love you guys.
Don't want the fun to end? Grab more refreshments. Then head over to the Goldylocks Productions YouTube channel. With the huge selection of shows, the fun doesn't have to end.